Hello, welcome to another MySpace Live video webcast. We have a very special guest with us today, live in the MySpace office in London. He's become something of a pop legend after just one album, and his second album's just come out, The Boy Who Knew Too Much. And he's here with us tonight to celebrate the release of his latest single, which is Rain, and that's available to download this Sunday, the 22nd of November. So, for those of you who've seen one of our live video webcasts before, you know the drill. You just enter any question you like in the chat module below this video, and leave your name in the message, and keep it relatively clean, and our star will answer your message personally. So, without further ado, I give you the wonderful Mika.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, it's just me on screen. Hi. You know, I actually watched a couple of these, and I always entered questions, but they never got accepted. So now the roles are reversed. So, I have my keyboard here, and here we go. So does the question come up on does everyone know the question, or should I read it?
You should read it, and also include the name of the person.
Okay.
It's Eric Fanshaw.
Eric Fanshaw wants to know, I've heard your music and I love it. Thank you. What I want to know is, do you read a lot, and are any books inspirational in your songwriting? I do read a lot. I buy a lot more books than I read, especially like hardback books, because I love the way that they feel, and I love the thought that I'll get to them. But a lot of the time, I read about 2/3 of the books that I buy, and yeah, they do play quite a big part in my songwriting. I think around the last album, and this latest one, I mean, I was kind of reading a lot of Angela Carter. She is a very, she's a very inspiring novelist, simply because she plays with this whole concept of magical realism, but it's an English version of it. She was a writer who died not too long ago. She died quite young, in her 50s, of cancer. But she wrote some amazing books while she was alive, including Nights of the Circus. She wrote The Magic Toy Shop. All these things that mix fantasy and reality, and are extremely good for getting visuals in your head. And from the things that you see in your head, that's where you get ideas to write songs, really, and that's how I approach it. So I read books in order to kind of make movies in my head, and from those movies I write songs to go with what I'm seeing, if that makes any sense. What has been your favourite live performance, and why? I am now, after this, going to run straight to a tiny little chapel in Islington, and I'm going to be doing a gig there in front of about 600 people in about 2 hours, and I'm doing it with a group of male singers called the King Singers, and some of you may know who they are and may be obsessed with them like I am, and some of you may not know anything. They're a group of 6 men, and they are extremely respected. They've won classical Grammys, they've won classical Brit Awards, every single type of award you can imagine, and they've been around for ages, for about 20 years now. And they sing classical music in a fully a cappella way. So it's a bit like an American a cappella choir, but it's 6 guys, and they do it professionally, so they sound extremely together. I called them up just as a fan, and I asked them if they'd be interested in doing a gig with me, and we're going to do it tonight after 6 months of preparation and only 1 hour's rehearsal. And I haven't been exactly well, so it's all going to be terrifying. But if it does go well, this is definitely one of the most exciting gigs I've done in a while. In recent memory, I have to say, we did a show in Oakland, which was absolutely fierce recently. We did a show in New York, which I loved. But I'm always so nervous about the shows I've got coming up that I can never really kind of rest and think about the shows that I've loved in the past. After that one, I'm 60, and I'm sitting there and I can't reach the notes and relax anymore.
We actually have a question from the chat from Tilly Rose.
Tilly Rose is asking me, I stopped playing the piano for money reasons. Do you have any songwriting tips? I heard someone talking about you when I walked in. Someone in the background who's smiling over there. I overheard this conversation and I didn't get involved, but I was just like, oh, that's really sad, because I think it's something that your parents can't afford the piano lessons anymore. This is the story that I heard, and so that's it. And even though you like playing, you're not going to get any more lessons. Teach yourself for now. If you can't afford to get lessons, teach yourself. If you have a piano or a keyboard, you can keep on going. There's some at your school, hopefully, I hope. And you should teach yourself. There's ways of learning and getting better and learning whatever you want to learn on your own. You don't necessarily need to pay someone to do it for now. When you're 16, if you really want to learn and your parents can't afford to pay for it, then you should get a job and use that money to get yourself piano lessons. I know that sounds really lame to some people, but I got a waitering job from the age of 16 onwards basically because I needed money to pay for my demos and to record and to do everything I wanted to do. And then I went on to get a student loan, and I blew almost the entirety on it, on making music, and I couldn't pay my fees at the Royal College of Music and had to go around my family and my aunties asking them for money. So don't necessarily follow me all the way, because you'll end up in a lot of trouble with the bank. But yeah, teach yourself for now. There's a lot of things you can do. I taught myself in a way how to play. I had a piano teacher, but because I was dyslexic, it was so frustrating. I could never really play the way they wanted me to. So I kind of figured out how to play all my own stuff.
Nice.
Is the song Billy Brown about somebody I know? Yes, it is about somebody I know, and the name wasn't originally Billy Brown. It was another name, and I changed it to Billy Brown just because I liked the way it rolled off the tongue. But if you want to know who it is, yeah, can't. Hi Mika, can you tell me the artists who have influenced your music the most? I'm a huge Harry Nilsson fan. I'm a big Prince fan. I'm a big Dolly Parton fan because she writes great music. I'm a big Fisher Spooner fan because it was electronica that everyone around the world has subsequently copied. They were an electronica duo out of New York. I kind of bounce around everywhere. You know, I'm a big Cornelius fan, who's a Japanese electronica guy. But recently, my recent obsession is a French singer and songwriter called Barbara. And Barbara is, in my opinion, one of the finest songwriters that has ever been. And she didn't get that famous around the world, or as famous as someone like Edith Piaf, because, I don't know why, but it's actually better because you haven't, you know, been surrounded by it your entire life, and it's something to discover. She's amazing. Check her out.
We have a question from the chat, Love61.
Is there anything bad about touring? Yeah, pretty much everything. I mean, touring, the shows are great, but everything in between is so hard. You're always traveling. You do 3 nights on, 1 night off. You know, or you never really have time to rest your voice. There's always things to deal with, and meanwhile you have to do promo at the same time. So the nature of touring is very cruel, and sometimes when you're in a tour and you sit there and you're like, this is not stopping till the end of 2010, you sit there and you're like, but then you get on stage and it all makes sense and it's worth it and you like it and you do it again the night after. So you can't really complain, but I don't know. It's hard. The traveling's hard. Buses are difficult to sleep on. And the only advantage is, because my tours have gotten big enough, I can bring my friends with me. Those, you know, they take time off work and they come and join me for a couple of days. I can bring my family well. I don't have the choice of bringing my family with me. They come anyway, because they all work on my show. But, you know, that's kind of how it's always been, so whatever. And I like that. And you know what? In all honesty, I don't know what else I'd do. I think I've become a bit of a traveling circus, and without that, from time to time in my life, I'd probably get really bored and climb off a mountain and end up falling off a cliff by accident.
We have another question from the live chat from Katie.
Katie wants to know, do you get a lot of marriage proposals from fans? Will you marry me? Will I marry you? No. been your best chat-up line, and have you used it on a celebrity? Now, see, here's the thing. I've gone out with people after meeting them on the internet in the past. And there's no generalizations about it. So you can't say, it goes well. Sometimes it goes well, sometimes it's a horrific disaster. The worst thing that could ever happen to you in your life. But in terms of chat-up lines, I have to say, being asked to marry someone in front of thousands of people in the cold light of a MySpace chat broadcast is probably the worst ever. By the one named Katie, nothing else. And what is the best chat? The best chat-up line? I'm really rubbish with chat-up lines. Absolutely rubbish. I'm as romantic as a bar stool.
We have a question from the live chat. A lot of people have asked
broken. This is not working.
A lot of people have asked this question.
Could I speak in French? Oui, salut, c'est Mika, vous êtes sur myspace.com et je suis là en train de répondre des questions. Alors, si vous voulez, envoyez-moi une question en français et je vais la répondre. Y también, si quieres, puedes preguntar una pregunta en español y puedo, how do you say, dar una respuesta? We need the Spanish guy back in the room. En español. Intentar. I'll try.
Nice.
Oh God, this is long. Do you think that reality TV talent shows really are a good way for discovering new talent, or do you believe that they're really ruining the chances of those people who have spent a number of years working so hard to try and make a name for themselves in the industry? I think there's a big difference. If you are in a reality talent show and you are going to do well, you are probably a singer, not necessarily a songwriter. There's no difference between what Eurovision used to be and what X Factor is today. I think that's the best comparison. And out of Eurovision, you got Celine Dion. I mean, you can say whatever you want about her. She's one of the biggest pop artists ever. A lot of people don't like her, a lot of people adore her, but she was born out of Eurovision. I don't think that would happen again today, or at least it hasn't in a long time. But then again, X Factor, or whatever it is, American Idol, those shows can offer up a lot of opportunities for some really good singers. And I think that side of it is good. If you're a songwriter, you're probably going to have a hard time. For the obvious thing, being me, if I walked onto that show, had to sing other people's songs, I would never ever have a hope in hell of winning anything, or probably getting into the semi-final, because I do things my own way, because that's all I know how to do. I'm not that good when I try and emulate something else. In the Jedward thing in the UK, we've got, because I know a lot of people are tuned in from all around the world, but we've got these two guys called Jedward, and they can't really sing, but they smile really well, and they've kind of cast a spell, an Irish spell, over the entire UK, and there's something charming about them. So that's purely entertainment. And will they have a career? Some sort of career, definitely, out of that. I don't know, it's not going to be Leona Lewis, but it's going to be their own version of. I think it's fun. I think it's very old school. You've got to look at it like vaudeville. It's like a variety show in the 30s, but on a really big scale. If you want the new Leonard Cohen, you're not going to find it on X Factor.
We have another question from the live chat. Call for advice.
Who is Kaja? I heard you were shy as a teenager. You're such a confident performer now. Can you give any tips or advice to help me come out of my shell? Get on stage. If you want to get out of your shell, and you're afraid to go on stage, get on stage. And the truth is, you can be totally boring in real life, and shy and reclusive and quite healthy, because most people who are shy are generally healthier people in real life. It's the performers who don't know how to turn